All right, so Dustin Poirier, Eddie Alvarez. Here's what to expect. Okay, this is a world title fight. In any other era, Eddie Alvarez used to be the world champion. So there's my evidence there. If you got to fight Eddie Alvarez, that's a world title fight caliber fight, right? Dustin Poirier's been the guy that everybody's wanted to fight for a title. He's been a top guy forever. These guys are going to fight 5 rounds. These guys are in a main event. This is a rematch. This is everything you could ever think of. But the title on the line is for the UFC's most violent man. Okay, great. I'm into it. I buy into that. I love it. It's actually one of my favorite titles in the whole UFC. The world's most violent man is one of my favorite titles that they contest. Okay. Here's the problem. It's murderer's row. So if you go win a fight like this, let's say Poirier's to beat a former world champion. Say Poirier goes out and looks great again. He steals another show. He wins another main event. Where's he go? We can't move him into a title fight. You can't at that weight class. It's log jammed with killers. You going to just slide Tony Ferguson? Can't do that. What are you going to do with Kevin Lee? Act like he doesn't exist? Plus, we got to get to the Khabib-Conor thing in October. So, what does happen to Dustin Poirier if he wins this fight? I don't know the answer. Kevin Lee could be in the future, now that we've just said that, but so could Tony Ferguson, as a way to get to the winner of Khabib and Conor. But what happens with Eddie if Eddie wins? And here's what you have to expect, okay? Eddie Alvarez's contract is up with the UFC. Ariel Helwani just broke that news, that this is actually Eddie's last fight. So win or lose, when he gets done with this fight, he's what we call a free agent. Now, that's a very risky move. I believe that's a negotiating tool. I think that Eddie would admit that and just say, look, I think I'm being undervalued. I don't have much leverage here. I'm going to go out and bet on myself. Should I win and look good and my stock goes up, I want to be rewarded for that. And the UFC will recognize that, right? So will the other organizations. And Eddie will be able to go and talk to all of them. So it's a very risky move. It concerns me only in one way. I love it. I respect Eddie for doing it. I respect everything that Eddie does. I can't help but wonder, in any situation, okay, follow the golden rule. Put myself in his shoes, how would I feel? I would have to believe I would feel some pressure. I would have to believe, in addition to the pressure of 5 rounds, the pressure of taking on one of the baddest dudes in the world right now in Poirier, taking on a dude that's in a rematch that there was controversy, and now you're dealing with my whole career and future. I've risked it all. I had a bird in a hand known as a contract. And I said no, because I liked 2 in the bush even more. I would just have to think, for me, the way I'm made up, and I deal with pressure pretty well, but it doesn't mean I don't feel it. I think that would add something for me. Some guys do great with pressure. Eddie's one of those guys. But there's certain amounts, right? Eddie just stacked even more pressure. Of course he's dealing with a lot to start with Poirier, with a main event, with travel schedules, going over to Canada, right? There's a lot of making the weight class, a lot of things going on there. Now he's added one more, electively. Does that change the outcome? Does that make him fight better? Does that hold him back a little bit? I don't care to offer you an opinion. I'm just telling you there's a lot riding on it. And I don't say that negatively. I say it out of respect. He elected to put himself in this position. The great ones do. The great ones put their back against the wall all the time because they know how they're going to come out and respond. Eddie Alvarez, not for nothing, is going to come out and fight, in my opinion, probably the best we've ever seen him fight. Dustin Poirier has only looked better in each fight, and he's looked like a world beater for the last 4.5 years. This is a special match. I'm glad it's happening.